What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode number 5 of Hobby Talk, a cardboard podcast. I'm your host, Murph, and in today's episode, I do not have Ricky with me today. He's having some technical difficulties. His camera is not working. His built-in camera to his computer isn't, for some reason, able to connect. However, nonetheless, we are here. I am here to bring you guys episode number 5. And listen, this whole solo gig isn't new to me. I did this for 2.5 years with Murph's Boston Sports Talk. It was my first podcast. That was the original podcast that eventually segued into Murph's Cartown Sports Shop. So this is going to be interesting, though, because this is my first solo ride with the face cam and such like that. So I was able to talk to Ricky, though, because his microphone was able to work. So I did get some pointers off of him that, just some key things to talk about. I do have a couple of his opinions on here in the chat because he was able to do that as well. So he's still kind of here with us in spirit. However, it's just going to be you and me for the duration of the show. So hopefully Ricky's able to get the technical difficulties fixed and we'll be able to have him back on next week for episode number 6. Wow, that kind of rhymes. Fix 6. Which will be in a couple of weeks. So I will just kind of lead off with one of Ricky's takes here is that there's no clear Super Bowl favorite this year. And honestly, the way that the 49ers have been playing, which I'll kind of talk about Brock Purdy in a little bit as well, which is another one of his takes. The way that the 49ers have been playing kind of scratches your head. Yeah, they went out and got Chase Young. But does that really do a lot for them? I think it does, because I think they're just in a slump, which all teams go through no matter the sport. Eagles, they picked up Kevin Byard, what was it, last week from the Titans. They're kind of the other favorite that was, talked about heavily. Obviously, they're still in the mix. You still have the Chiefs and such. Bengals been playing a lot better. So is there a clear Super Bowl favorite? I'm going to say no. But we can definitely point to some teams that have strong chances, strong winning percentages, or chances to get to the Super Bowl, I should say, or chances of winning the Super Bowl. And I think those are the select teams. I still think the 49ers are on there. And again, I will talk about Brock Purdy in just a little bit. The Eagles, the Chiefs, again, I still have to throw the Bengals in there just because of experience. They have the personnel to do it, and they're playing a lot better. They're getting healthy. So, it'd be remiss to not throw them in there. Dolphins look suspect. Bills look suspect. So, I mean, if I'm looking at the landscape, I'm probably picking 4 teams really to be strong Super Bowl contenders, Super Bowl favorites, let's call it, for the year as it stands right now as we enter week 9 of the regular season. So that was one of Ricky's opinions, one of his takes that he did leave me with, and I just wanted to address that really quickly because I will circle back to Brock Purdy and football, but I do plan on talking about some other things today in today's episode. Just as a quick disclaimer, if you guys hear a noise in the background, which Ricky was not able to hear, but just in case, maybe your headphones are, like the studio ones, or just, $1,000 headphones and you can hear almost anything. Settings, I do have the reduced background noise selected. So hopefully it does kind of help. I have my heater on here at the shop because it's 40 something degrees out here in Rhode Island and the shop is absolutely freezing. So had to turn that on. And again, since the remodel of my office back room area, I don't have doors to kind of block it off. So hopefully you guys don't hear it. And if you do, it's not too much of a nuisance. So I do want to divert and pivot to the Super Bowl. Wow. I used to do that a lot when it was just me with Murph's Boston Sports Talk. I would be talking about, let's say, the Celtics, Celtics this, Celtics that, da-da-da-da-da. And then when I would go to switch to talk about the Bruins, they're like, oh, yeah, it looks like they have a really good chance the Celtics do at the Stanley Cup. So, where it's not back and forth with somebody, it's just me literally just talking into a cup of water here, talking to you guys. That's probably going to happen throughout today's episode. I'm going to be talking about the Bengals in the World Series. I'm going to be talking about Brock Purdy scoring goals against, whatever. It's just, all fun and games. But the World Series, I do want to talk about the World Series because, again, this is the pinnacle of the baseball season. This is the most hype I think baseball has gotten and is getting. But it has taken a huge step back. Actually, I do want to see what the final score was, because I turned the game off and it was 10-0. Wow, 11-7. The Diamondbacks made a run at it. Maybe I should have stayed tuned in a little bit. It was 11-0, and then they kind of, oh no, it was 10-1, and then 11-1, and then the Diamondbacks make their little run at it. So Rangers are up 3-1 right now. They are one win away from winning their first ever World Series. They've been to the World Series twice before. Was it 2010 and 11? I think it was. I think it was 10 and 11. Or was it 11 and 12? Oh, no, I don't remember. I think it's 10 and 11. Anyways, besides the point. But they're one win away. And they lost Max Scherzer, who they removed off the roster, and pretty much the face of baseball throughout the course of the playoffs. Adolis Garcia, what was it, an oblique injury, I think it was, or a hamstring? And he was very exciting to watch. He was very hyped up. He was starting to become the talk of the hobby in terms of, trying to find his rookie cards, whether they're his days with the Cardinals or the days with the Rangers, just a couple seasons ago, kind of like Randy Arozarena. He had a rookie card with the Cardinals, but he didn't really have a full season to not qualify as a rookie. So he had rookie cards with the Rays. Very similar. You need 140 at-bats in your career in order to not be a rookie anymore. So if you have 100 in year one, you'll be a rookie the following year. If you have 20 in year two, let's say injury or you struggled, then year three, you're still a rookie because you have yet to hit that plateau of 140. Is it 130 or 140? 140, I think, at bats. But his cards in the hobby were becoming quite popular. I really do believe that people were buying in to Adolis Garcia. And I'm going to pull up Card Ladder here, and I want to see if I can try to pull up anything on Adolis Garcia. I don't even know if he's even in here yet. It doesn't look like that he is. And the thing about Card Ladder is, let me make sure I'm spelling it right. I am spelling it right. I think with Card Ladder, it is really good if you can find the player. If you can't find the player, then it's useless. Like, I'm typing in Adolis Garcia again, who's the talk of baseball, and I can't even look up his cards or anything, there. It's just, Card Ladder is a great tool, great resource to watch the trends in the market and the ups and downs. I'm going to talk about that too in a little bit. However, if they don't have the player, they don't have the card, then it's virtually useless. Like, I tried looking up a Bowman Carroll, Bowman Chrome First, Silver PSA 10, and all they had was the autograph versions of it. It's like, I don't have the autograph. I just want to look at the regular. So I wasn't able to do that. I had to go to eBay, which, has just about everything under the sun. So with Adolis Garcia out for the Rangers, that's a huge hit, obviously, to the Rangers. However, they did not miss a beat at all. They didn't skip a beat. They got out to a huge 11-0. 11-0 lead, and they did not look back. Got a little frisky towards the end there, but Rangers one win away. What does this do for the hobby? Well, does a guy like Max Scherzer, who's already won, but a guy like Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom, do their cards go up now that they have, Scherzer's case, another ring, and Jacob deGrom, his first ring? Obviously, they're both considered the best pitcher in baseball, I think, when fully healthy, and Jacob deGrom has showed that. Scherzer has showed that. We haven't seen a lot with deGrom this year with the Rangers because he's missed so much time. Then you look at Adolis Garcia, hype of town, talk of the hobby. He'll get a ring. Again, this is, of course, if the Rangers win. Will, his market go up? Corey Seager, who's won 2 World Series titles, one with the Dodgers in 2020 and then another here with the Rangers, will his value go up? I mean, now that he has 2 World Series titles, he has the second most home runs among shortstops in postseason history. Oh, it's a bug. It's a fly. Oh, that dude's still here. It was a fly. So trade night on Saturday had the doors open. It was beautiful out. It was warm inside, and just this one fly. And it's just that fly that just flew around, and I can't kill him. Can't get him out. So, if you see me, whoa, it's because of the fly. Oh, where was I? Was it Derek Jeter, I think, has 20 home runs, and Corey Seager has 19, hit his 19th home run last night. So very impressive postseason career for Corey Seager, who's still fairly young. I think he was a rookie in 2015, 2016 maybe. So, a guy like him getting another ring, does that make him one of the best players, shortstop to invest in? Because that Texas Rangers team is going to be good for some time. Obviously, he's done it before. It's not a one-off. He's had a fantastic postseason altogether, no matter what round you look at him in. And I think the answer should be yes. But since he's on the Texas Rangers, and people, kind of correlate the Rangers to they're not the Yankees, they're not the Red Sox, they're not the Dodgers, they're not the Mets. It's like, 2 World Series titles. Like, we're investing in Jordan Lawlers and Jackson Holidays and Gunnar Henderson. Oh, again, I guess Gunnar is the third baseman now. Hoping that these guys win World Series, that they win titles, and that they put up big numbers. But we got Corey Seager here, who's kind of already doing that. And I don't want to say under the radar because he was the shortstop for the Dodgers for 5-6 years. But because now he's on the Rangers, does that still keep him out of the limelight? Can we name 5 better shortstops right now in baseball besides Corey Seager? Oh man, pressure's on. I don't even think I can. Lindor, man, and I gotta look it up. Top shortstops in MLB 2023. All right, here we go. Look at that. I go to this list on pitcherlist.com, and Corey Seager's number 1. If that just doesn't prove my point, then I don't know what will. They have Lindor's number 2, Bobby Witt, great season, number 3. Gunnar Henderson, I guess. Might have appeared yesterday's third baseman list, but he's split time at shortstop. Jackson Holiday will be the shortstop moving forward. We all know that. J.P. Crawford, Bo Bichette, Dansby Swanson, Trey Turner. So, can we pick a better shortstop right now in baseball than Corey Seager? And shortstop, dating all the way back to Little League, is one of the premier positions in baseball. You probably have shortstop and pitcher, probably your 2 premier pitcher positions. Let's see. Josh Young, Rookie of the Year. I don't want to say, I guess runaway in the American League. Having him get a ring, being a world champion. Jonah Heim, who's had a really good breakout season. So, it's not like the Padres where you have Soto, Bogarts, Manny Machado, Blake Snell, all these guys winning World Series titles. It's not like that. It's not like the Dodgers where you have Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and just winning all, this title. It's the Rangers. And hopefully that, let's see, I'm trying to think. Let's see, Dodgers won. We kind of saw it when Braves won. Even though Acuna was part of the team earlier in the season in 2021, he tore his ACL, he missed the rest of the season, didn't even play the playoff and the World Series run for the Braves that year, but he still has a ring, but no one really equivalates him to a world champion because he didn't contribute. He wasn't on the roster. He wasn't on the team because of that injury. So I still feel like there's even a void in the market. And then you look at 22 with the Astros, and no one cares about the Astros because of the cheating scandal in 2017. So they just kind of null and void everything the Astros do, no matter what it is, until Altuve's gone, until Bregman's gone. So, but I had this conversation with somebody a while back, that baseball is very statistical and very analytical in terms of determining who's the best. You look at a guy like Hank Aaron, who has over 700 home runs, over 2,000 RBIs, over 3,000 hits. What more do you want? I think he has 1 World Series title. But no one in baseball cares about the World Series title. We're not looking at Derek Jeter with 5 titles and calling him the best shortstop ever. Is he in that top 10 list? Absolutely. Is he a little overrated? I think so. But no, listen, neither here nor there. People often will regard Honus Wagner as the best shortstop. Speed, hitting ability, fielding ability. He was very versatile, and he played a bunch of different positions. But oftentimes, when you hear best shortstop of all time, you oftentimes tie it with Honus Wagner. When you look at Yogi Berra, who won 11 World Series titles with the Yankees, in the 50s and 60s, do people correlate him as the best catcher of all time? No. Oftentimes, it's Johnny Bench. You might get a few funny people that like Mike Piazza because he has most home runs as a catcher. So World Series titles and championships don't mean as much in baseball as winning a Super Bowl. We look at Tom Brady, 7 Super Bowls. Yes, he has all the stats to back it up. We look at Joe Montana, 4. We look at, even like a guy like Patrick Mahomes who only has 2. But when he went from 1 to 2 after winning last year, it was a huge jump, a huge step up in terms of his pedigree on that all-time list. Like, people are hesitant or refuse to put Dan Marino in their top 5, top 10 list because he doesn't have one. He reached one, what was it, his first or second year he reached the Super Bowl and lost, but then never got back and never won. But if you look at the stats and compare it to the quarterbacks of his time, they're way better. And even to quarterbacks today, his stats are astronomical. Like, you look at a guy like Peyton Manning, 5 MVPs, and he has 2 Super Bowls to boot. But before he got that Super Bowl, he was just, kind of, another quarterback, in the grand scheme of things until he won. You look at Eli Manning. Let's say he never wins those 2 Super Bowls. I know they were against the Pats. I'm not trying to bring that conversation up, but like, you wouldn't think he's nowhere near the Hall of Fame. People say he's a Hall of Famer because he won twice. He beat the Patriots twice. He did put up some good numbers, but he had some bad numbers too. But because he won and who he won against, beating the undefeated Patriots and again beating them in 2011, like, that warrants him to potentially be in the Hall of Fame. But again, you take those Super Bowls out, no one's talking about him being in the Super Bowl. Even if the Patriots don't win, say it's like some Joe Schmo team. But just because he won his 2 Super Bowls, people are talking about him as that kind of guy, though, to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, if he has 1, is he in that mix? Well, you look at Joe Flacco, he has 1, but he's nowhere near that mix. So it seems like, is 2 the bar? I mean, we're all in. I know I'm really crossing apples and oranges here. I've kind of really diverted to football. You look at guys like Burrow, Hurts, Herbert, Josh Allen. I mean, we're investing in all of these guys who are proving themselves. But like, it seems like the baseline is to get obviously 1, but 2. I mean, before Mahomes won his second Super Bowl, we could arguably say he was not a top 10 quarterback. Now that he's won his second, people put him number 1 already. People put him number 2. People put him, whatever. But like, if Herbert has half the career Joe Montana has, he's a Hall of Famer and one of the best ever. And that's 2 Super Bowls right there. 2 Super Bowls. If Joe Burrow is able to win 2 Super Bowls but make it to 3 or 4, he's going to be one of the best ever. So it's just like and you can do this about basketball too. I mean, the MJ LeBron debate endlessly circles around 6 rings and, he's lost in the finals 6 times. Jordan won the 6 times. LeBron's lost 6 times in the finals, or 5 times, whatever it is. But like, well, hold on. Can we just dial that back and just look at the stats for a second? Nope, can't do that. Can't do that. A lot of people, just are either narrow-minded or they like to take in the whole thing. And I prefer to take in the whole consideration. Like, again, it's really diverting off a tangent here. It's like, I'll try to make it quick. The whole Jordan and LeBron debate. I don't think there's a wrong answer. You can pick whoever you want. There's a case for both. I'll tell you where I'm at on it. And, I try to look at the whole thing. I try to look at rings, of course, MVPs, playoff success, regular season success, points, stats, assists, rebounds, all of that stuff. I try to look at the whole package to determine my answer. I try to look at clutch performances. I try to look at clutch point, all these random oddities. I think that Jordan winning 3 straight, taking a year and a half off. Obviously they lost, was it the first, second round, the year that he did come back, but then winning 3 straight again, I think that says something. I think LeBron's longevity was his 21st year in the NBA. Like, I mean, that speaks volume. To be able to bring that 2007 Cavaliers team to the NBA Finals, though they lost against the Spurs, but that speaks volume too. So like, there's so many different things that you could draw in. That's like, I like him. I think he's the best. That's impressive. And that makes his, hobby portfolio actually have value. But you can get it in baseball. We don't look at that at all. Like Mickey Mantle, great player, Hall of Famer, one of the best ever, probably the original true face of baseball, especially when they introduced Topps cards. in 1952, even though there was, Bowman the year before. But at the end of the day, is Mickey Mantle the best center fielder of all time? No. I would probably say Willie Mays. So why aren't Willie Mays cards worth more than Mickey Mantle cards? We could even argue that Ken Griffey Jr., arguably a better, all-time center fielder than Willie Mays. More home runs. I mean, I don't know about I know Griffey never won an MVP, but like, I don't know about the RBIs or the hits or the All-Star, the Gold Gloves, all that. I mean, I know Griffey had a ton, but again, besides the point, everyone's going to weigh Mickey Mantle over because probably where his cards are from the vintage era. You look at, anything outside of a rookie card, even a Mickey Mantle 1962 Topps card is very, very valuable. But you look, which is what, like a 10th year card, 11th year card. But you look at a 10th, 11th year card or junior, and it's worthless. So, there's also a piece that you need to consider of when they played as well. I mentioned Willie Mays. Like, yeah, he played in the vintage card era, I'll call it. And his cards, rookie, second year, 10th year, whatever year, are still valuable because they're released and they are vintage cards. Mickey Mantle, same thing. Whereas Ken Griffey Jr., unless it's the 89 Upper Deck, it's typically worthless. So, and Griffey never won a World Series. He never won a World Series title. But players that, continuously hold value in this sport, I would say typically have at least one. I mean, let's see. I'm not gonna look it up. I'm not gonna look up because I'm just gonna keep going and going and going and going about baseball. And I do want to talk about other things. Cardinals, real quick. I'll just kind of wrap it up with the Cardinals here. My hair is an absolute disaster. I am sorry. I need a haircut tomorrow. I will wrap it up with the Cardinals, though. I'm sorry, not Cardinals. Wow. See, I told you I was gonna do it. I will wrap it up with the Diamondbacks, the D-backs, the answer backs, who almost answered last night. That they've made an incredible run, a run that was unprecedented and no one thought they would be able to do. But here they are, they're doing it. And I think especially if they lose, I think people will still look at this run as something to hold a lot of weight on. Are they going to be able to do it next year? If they have the same roster, I'm going to say no. But if they add to it, they add pieces to it, veterans, if they bring veterans on, if they, obviously, trade for a superstar, maybe they sign a Shohei Ohtani. Who knows? I mean, they're on the West Coast, so it kind of counts. I do think that they can have a huge, huge leap forward into next year, although they played fantastic this year and continuingly play good. But I think the big driving force between them and the Rangers is the Rangers do have more talent. They are far superior in terms of player personnel, player skill, and such like that. Like, you look at Seager, much better shortstop than Geraldo Perdomo. Oh, what a tongue twister. Josh Young is a better third baseman than Emmanuel Riviera, I think his name is, or even Evan Longoria, whoever you want to throw over there. Let's see, Marcus Semien's a very good second baseman in comparison to Ketel Marte, who's having a great playoff run. Let's see, Adolis Garcia, right fielder, probably the best outfielder. Corbin Carroll right behind him and such like that. So it just pound for pound, you look at the starting pitchers. Yeah, they have Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, but I think Nathan Eovaldi, Jordan Montgomery, and then when you had Max Scherzer, that trio of pitchers is just far better. But I will be very curious to see how Game 5 goes tonight. Can the Diamondbacks get the series back to Arlington, Texas for Game 6? Who knows? By the time we have this podcast next, the World Series will be over. Why am I in February? The next episode will be on November 15th. That's for episode number 6. Hopefully Ricky's face cam is working come then. So when we have episode 6, we'll be able to kind of react to the World Series. We'll have more football to talk about. We'll have more basketball and such to talk about, football I do want to talk about. And this is one of Ricky's takes he left me with. The Brock Purdy hype train has left. He is not a good buy anymore. And 3 weeks ago, I said Brock Purdy was a top 10 quarterback. And I'm going to defend my take and I'm going to kind of rebuttal because I bet there's going to be keyboard warriors. Brock Purdy's not a top 10. Brock Purdy's not a top 10 quarterback. Brock Purdy is a great buy. He's the best buy. So I'm just going to kind of hit it from all angles. I'm going to try to hit it from all angles. I need water first. Where it's just me talking, and I ran into this last time with Murph's Boston Sports Talk where it wasn't no face cam. I'd be able to kind of pause it. I guess I could pause it too, but it's just too much work. And I have to get a sip of water, or I would try to talk, quick sip, and keep going. Whereas it is what it is. Anyway, Brock Purdy, my hands are freezing. Thin blood. All right. Brock Purdy is not a good buy anymore, says Ricky. And I do want to kind of elaborate on that. And when he says goodbye, I'm thinking of a pump and dump strategy, kind of buy now for, let's call it 100, flip at the end of next week for 175. I'm kind of thinking of that. And I'm sure that's kind of the mindset that he's going with too, which Purdy's not. 49ers are struggling. They lost 3 straight games now. But I do think long-term for this year, and maybe even into the offseason, even into next season, I still think Purdy is a good buy at a good price. So I'm not saying go drop thousands of dollars on a RPA or whatever like that. Like, I think that's a bad buy. But, if cards are going to increase, let's say 30% because they win a Super Bowl, then you would like to think that whether it's a $10 card or a $1,000 card, it's going to increase 30% with a Super Bowl win. However, that's just kind of look at Matthew Stafford cards, what they did. Joe Burrow cards, even though he didn't win, his cards shot through the roof. Obviously, Jalen Hurts cards shot through the roof. So it's like that window for if you're going to lose the Super Bowl, it's that window before, the 2 weeks before when you win your conference championship game up until the Super Bowl to flip it and to get as max value as you possibly can. Obviously, unless the quarterback wins at the Super Bowl. However, I think Brock Purdy afford that. Again, I don't think buying $1,000 cards of Purdy is a good buy because I think long term, again, quick flip, for this year, sure, whatever. But like that team around him is very good. They're a little dinged up on the injury front, but I think overall that team is very good. And I do believe that they have a really good chance to win the Super Bowl. They have a really good chance to make noise in the playoffs, which they expect to do, which trading for Chase Young, that is their plan. They're going to win games. They're going to beat teams up. And they're going to show you that we have better players, that we have a much better roster than you do. And if you look at the whole roster, I think the 49ers have arguably the best roster on paper in the league. You could probably say the Eagles do, would battle and contest that. But just, in a vacuum, for argument's sake, you look at the 49ers roster, it's in a really, really sound top to bottom. I think Chase Young just really makes it light years better on the defensive front. But Brock Purdy can't play defense. He doesn't win you games on defense. So if you're looking for a quarterback that is going to take advantage of what's around him, and hey, good for him, I would too. I think Brock Purdy, in terms of buying, investing, whatever it is, because he's a good quarterback, is not a good mindset to have in this hobby. I don't think he is that. Like, I look at Herbert, though he's struggling this year, I think he's still a good quarterback. You look at Burrow, you're buying Burrow cards because he's Joe Burrow. You're buying Patrick Mahomes cards because he's Patrick Mahomes. And you know what that these players can do in big moments, in big games. The talent level that they have is just through the roof. When it comes to Brock Purdy, I'm not buying Brock Purdy cards because he's Brock Purdy. Because I know he's going to go out there and throw 400 yards and he's going to carry his team to a win against the Eagles, let's say. No, it's going to be a team effort. It's going to be the defense that does it. Maybe, to Debo or Kittle or Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, who scored a touchdown in 100 straight games, whatever it is. But that's what you're buying with Brock Purdy. is you're buying the team. You're buying the 49ers. You're hoping the team does good. You know, what was it? Justin Herbert last year had a 28-0 lead the end of the first half against the Jags, and the Jags come back and Jags end up winning that game and the Chargers lose. Now, obviously, I don't put that blame on Justin Herbert. There is some blame because, hey, you can't put an absolute duck and put a goose egg in the second half. You got to put up some points. And so I do fault, Herbert for that. And, Herbert and the offense, obviously the coaching for that as well. But, I mean, Herbert gave you a 28-0 lead. He gave you a 4-touchdown lead, in that wild card game. I mean, he did, for the most part, his job. And this just kind of it just spiraled out of control. And, they ended up losing. Like Brock Purdy, again, I'm buying Justin Herbert because I believe in Justin Herbert. I'm buying Jalen Hurts because I believe in Jalen Hurts being a good quarterback. I don't know many people that are buying Brock Purdy because they believe in Brock Purdy, him being a good quarterback, and he will carry the 49ers to a championship. So when I look at, Ricky's take saying that the Brock Purdy hype train has left, I would agree with that. I think that hype train is gone. I think that train has left the station, and Ricky says he's not a good buy. Again, you're buying him only because he's the 49ers quarterback and you expect the 49ers to win, and he's just the conductor of that offense. You're not buying him because you believe in that he's a good player. I think long-term, the 49ers they can't keep Nick Bosa and Chase Young and Fred Warner, all on the same team with George Kittle and Trent Williams and Debo and Christian McCaffrey. They can't keep all those contracts on the roster without diminishing other positions. They just can't. You can't do that long term. It's really hard to buy a championship in football. Really tough. Really tough. But like short term, can they do it this year? Of course. And Brock Purdy is going to be that conductor. I mean, if it was Trey Lance, if it was Sam Darnold, like again, you're not buying Sam Darnold cards because you think he's a good quarterback. You're buying him because you hope that he wins a Super Bowl, and that you hope that through that, by the 49ers winning, that you can go on and flip it for a more lucrative profit than if they didn't win, right? See my point there? Now, I do want to mention my take about Brock Purdy being a top 10 quarterback. Again, that was as of 3 weeks ago, guys. That was before episode 4 of Hobby Talk that I made this. I put it on social media. I was like, hey, Brock Purdy, statistically this year, is a top 10 quarterback. And I'd ask people constantly, name me 10 better quarterbacks right now this year. And they couldn't do it. They didn't want to put Brock Purdy in the top 10 because he's Brock Purdy. Well, everyone's buying Brock Purdy. People are opening 2022 stuff because of Brock Purdy. So why can't we, at the time, show him the respect of being a top 10 quarterback? Yes, he has CMC, Debo, Ayuk, Trent Williams, again, when all these guys were healthy, George Kittle. Yeah, so like you put Sam Darnold in there, you put Brandon Allen, you put Brandon Whedon in there, and they're probably going to look very good. Top 10? I don't know. I mean, I do think Brock Purdy does have some skill and talent to his game because he does make good throws. He does make good reads. He didn't lose you games. Again, 3 weeks ago, Joe Burrow wasn't playing as good as he was. Jalen Hurts is still struggling. Josh Allen's struggling. Patrick Mahomes, his stats are worse than Russell Wilson. Sam Howell's stats are just about as good as Patrick Mahomes. So if we're putting Patrick Mahomes in that mix, then we have to put Sam Howell in that mix. That's today now. So again, what my take was 3 weeks ago was Brock Purdy's a top 10 quarterback in the league at the moment. However, if you put Mac Jones on the 49ers, he too would be a top 10 quarterback. No, he wouldn't be. Mac Jones sucks. And like, okay, yes, this year he has not looked good. Is it all his fault? No. Is it a team issue? Yes. However, it wasn't just so much a Mac Jones is better than Brock Purdy. All right, I had my UPS driver come in, drop off a ton of product here for the shop. New Pokemon, let's see, Draft Pick Prism, basketball blasters with Victor Wembanyama, obviously the hobby boxes as well, supplies, ton of stuff. It's all over there. So I had to go take care of that. But what I was talking about, it's not a Mac Jones is this great quarterback and he's just on a bad team, which I do believe is true. It's more so that you put Mac Jones in San Francisco, he's a top 10 quarterback. Again, this is my thought 3 weeks ago. So just keep that in mind, guys. Put Zach Wilson over there, put PJ Walker, put put Bryce Young, put any middling quarterback, underperforming quarterback, or a quarterback that sucks. Put Kenny Pickett out there. He's probably a top 10 quarterback. So it's more so that Brock Purdy, my take is more so Brock Purdy isn't this great quarterback, this great player. You put Brock Purdy over in New England, he's a bottom 5 quarterback without a doubt. So like that was the whole premise of my take. And I still kind of stand by that. So like when I see Brock Purdy and his market, it's only because of the team that he's on. I really do believe that. Again, you're buying Brock Purdy cards because you think that the 49ers are going to win. You're buying Joe Burrow cards because you think he is going to win. It's a huge difference. And like, I don't want to go back to the draft because like, I mean, I think he should have been probably like a 5th round guy, if not a 6th round guy, not the last pick in the draft. But like, there's a huge talent gap between him and the rest of the pack. And I think the draft shows that. And I think that the last 3 weeks now, we've seen that because he has not looked good. He's been throwing interceptions. He has, been playing poorly, and we knew he was going to come back down to earth. It was only a matter of time. However, he did play well. He did show that he is a very good quarterback. However, when you're missing a Debo and you're missing Trent Williams and you're missing some of those pieces that have made you so good and so successful, then you're going to struggle and you're going to suck. And I think the Brock Purdy hype and the Brock Purdy market is going to reflect that if he continues to play poorly. Now with Chase Young and in addition to the defense, we will have to wait and see. So, the hobby works in weird, mysterious ways sometimes. I swear it does. I also, speaking of the hobby, I do want to kind of touch on this. And this was something I saw on Burbank Sports Cards Instagram, where Rob, the card father, does his daily good morning, how's it going? Just gives you hobby update from his perspective, his thoughts and opinions about, what's kind of going on in the heat of the moment. And I watched it last night, and it was talking about how a lot of flippers, investors, and such like that are so narrow-minded, and they just look at charts and graphs and data points and such like that, which I think when it comes to pricing cards, I think is fine. I really do. Obviously eBay sales, 130 point, all these charts and websites, it's just all coming from eBay pretty much. Maybe you get it from Golden, PWCC, wherever you can buy and sell cards, really, these marketplaces are kind of taking their information from. And again, when you're buying cards, I think that it's fine. I think it's a really good source and a good tool. But it's not the do-all, be-all. It's really not. Because what he was kind of alluding to was that all these people, these investors, these flippers, these market analyzers are saying the hobby's down, the hobby's crashing. And I've said this countless times on my other podcast, in the shop, this podcast, that if you look at it from a COVID perspective, so from 2020 to now, yes, it is crashing. The world is collapsing because all that not you specifically, but just saying in general, 2020 COVID collectors, CCs, right? COVID collectors only know the hobby of up here. And I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with this, but it's something that I need to remind people is you're getting into the hobby up here. So this is your baseline up here. So for when it goes down, this is all you're seeing is that collapsing, that crash. The lighting does not look good when I do this. It does not look good. So that's all you know. So of course, when you're here, this is your baseline and the market's down here. Yeah, that's crashing. Yeah, that's a collapse. That is not good from that perspective. If you're looking at it from probably a true or a more pure hobbyist who's been in the hobby before COVID, so let's call it 2018. This is going to be really tough. Here's my plan. So it from here, right? This is 2018. COVID is up here. Here's 2023. So it, does this, a huge lump, a huge bump. So if you're a hobbyist, a collector, or someone who was into the hobby and cards before before COVID, this is correction. This is adjustment, normalcy, back to normal, whatever you want to call it, because it's back to here where it was here and it's not here. Huge, huge difference. So yes, if you look at charts and you look at graphs, you're going to see this huge slope going down, huge slope going down. However, it's a good thing. It's really a good thing because it makes cards more affordable. It makes boxes more affordable. It makes the hobby just a more fun because you can take your, let's call it $100, and you can spread it out and invest it more, or you can buy more with that $100 than you could during 2020 and 2021, or even last year in 2022. And I just don't think people see it that way because they see that their $1,000 card that they bought in 2021 is now only worth $200. But that's just the problem that you run into when you buy to invest or buy to flip, because you're not always going to walk away and you're not always going to win. Maybe you held the card too long. Maybe the player just sucked and didn't look good. Maybe they got injured. Maybe they got traded, whatever the situation is. However, if you're a hobbyist, and this is what the card father was kind of alluding to, is if you have a hobby mindset, a collector's mentality, and we can distribute cards to those and focus on those people who want to collect the 1974 top set, or who wants to collect Derek Jeter cards or Ken Griffey Jr. cards, or a bunch of Tom Brady, whoever it is, whatever it is. The hobby will strive and continuously do well from that perspective. And that aspect of the hobby will never die. It has never died. Even through the junk wax era, there was still collectors. There was still hobbyists. Through COVID in 2020 and in the years after, there's still people buying cards because of what they are. They want the card. They want the player. They want to complete the set, which is still, which is a dying breed today. It's still far and few between. But those people, young or old, will never go away. And I think the huge, huge impact of Pokemon does help to a degree. Obviously, it's gotten some sports people into Pokemon. It's gotten like those millennials or Gen X's, I believe, into cards, into Pokemon. They collect sports cards, but they remember Pokemon. Now they can go out and buy it and they can go out and rip it. So Pokemon and sports really do kind of go hand in hand with a lot of people. Some people it doesn't, and that's totally fine. It doesn't matter. But I do think Pokemon has helped. There are collectors out there, set builders. There's people that want master sets or want the base set, like the base set of the set that's coming out. Not like the first base set, because that's expensive. But you see my point here is investor, and I've seen this countless times with people that that used to come to the shop that don't anymore, that got out of the hobby because their investment or their flipping isn't as good or lucrative as it once was. But those that are still in the hobby because they want to buy cards for what that card is or what that player is, still come to the shop. I still see them at shows. Same thing with flippers and investors and such. Like, they're thinning out because the market is correcting, and you can't flip a $10 card that was a $10 card and supposed to be a $10 card as easily as you once were able to flip that $10 card for $50 when that $50 card should never have been $10. I really hope that makes sense. And if it does, please let me know down in the comments below. If it doesn't, let me know for some clarification. I'd love to elaborate on it. This is kind of where I wish Ricky was here so he can kind of, just, bump off of my opinion and just give me his feedback about things, about what I'm talking. So, I can use him and be like, does that make sense to you, Ricky? And then he'll say yes or no and such like that. But where he's not here due to technical difficulties, that's totally fine. So I will leave you guys with this because I do want to wrap it up for today's episode. I'll leave you with this. If you're in this hobby because you are a collector, you love collecting, you love the cards, you love the players, you love the journey, you love the people that you've met, and you love just the environment, the atmosphere, whether it's at my shop, Murph's Card Town, at shows, or whatever, stay in the hobby. Have fun. If you can make money along the way, that's great. I've never said don't make money. If if you have a card in your PC that you once bought for $10 and you can sell it for $10 to go help fund a card that's $20 that you want to put in your PC, great, do that. Make that $20 card essentially $10 cheaper. Do that. Have fun in the hobby, buy and sell and do that. Enjoy a card for a little bit and all right, I'm done with it. And let someone else enjoy the card, because there's always going to be collectors of whatever player that is. There's a ton of players out there, but there's even more collectors. There's more fans out there than there are players. And I mean, I truly, truly believe that, because this hobby, again, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with this, is a hobby. And what are hobbies? They're meant to have fun. And not all hobbies, hold on. Not all hobbies are free. Some are. I mean, I don't even know what's a free hobby. Bird watching, you sit on your porch and just watch birds. But I mean, it would help to have like a binoculars or something. I can't even think of what a free hobby is. But all hobbies, pretty much, most hobbies, majority of hobbies, cost money. Sports cards is no different. Pokemon cards, no different. Action figures, video games, stamps. I mean, you pick any hobby. Train collecting, bird watching. I just used cars, cars collecting, Hot Wheels. They all cost money. So you need to have that money. You just got to go in knowing that you're going to have to spend money. And have people been taking money out and not putting money in? Yes. I even made a video about that on the channel. What was it, on Sunday the 29th? Go check it out. But I'll leave a cue to it, a card right there to it for you guys. You need to put money into the hobby. You need to have fun, and you need to enjoy the journey, enjoy the passion. I've met so many great people. Ricky, one of them. Ricky is the perfect example. I've met him through the hobby. He came to the shop, going through the dollar bins. We would talk for hours on end, and he would come to trade nights. I'd buy off him. He'd buy off of me. And, when he moved away, went to Chicago, he was awesome. We would hang out together at the National. He would even drive me to and from my hotel. I mean, that's just like the friends that you can make. And I know people have made, and I have made through this hobby. And I think all of those good reasons, pull it all together, is exceptional. And I want other people to feel that and know that that's possible in this hobby. It's not all about dollar signs. It's not all about percentages or data points or graphs or charts. Have fun, be a collector, enjoy the hobby, and you won't be disappointed. But you will be disappointed if your $1,000 card is $200 a few months later and you bought that $1,000 card because you expected it or wanted it to go up and go through the roof. But it doesn't always work out like that. And that's why I do think the population of people in this hobby has thinned out. It has trimmed out. And a lot of those kind of people aren't in the hobby anymore. And I think ultimately, I mean, I want as many people in the hobby as possible, but I don't want there to be toxic people or people in it for the wrong reason or scammers or scummy people, nothing like that. I want it to be good, healthy, happy hobby. And I think that it can be if people just kind of take a step back, reflect, open their eyes a little bit, and enjoy the little things of the hobby. So I will wrap it up with that. I really do appreciate you guys watching this episode of Hobby Talk, a Cardboard podcast with just me. Promise Ricky will be, well, at least I should say, hopefully Ricky will be here to join us next week. Maybe if I keep, I literally just have a sticky note of topics. I wanted to talk about the Celtics today, but I didn't get a chance to. I'd rather talk about that with Ricky. But hopefully if I still have that sticky note, in 2 weeks, we can kind of allude to some of the talking points that I had and such, just let Ricky get caught up. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the solo episode with me. This is not going to be a norm moving forward, but I had a blast just rambling to you guys. It felt like the good old days of Murph's Boston Sports Talk, except I didn't have the face cam, which I did want to do. Season 3, I did want to introduce that, but there was never a season 3, except there was a season 1 for this. So all good things do come around in due time. But again, that is going to do it for today's episode, guys. I really appreciate you watching today's episode number 5. If you enjoyed today's video and you got something out of it, please smash the thumbs up button. If you did, I would greatly appreciate the love and support. Comment down below. Again, comment your thoughts and opinions about anything and everything that we talked about in today's episode. And if you're new to the channel or haven't considered subscribing, I would greatly appreciate it if you could smash the giant red subscribe button, as I would greatly appreciate your love and support that way. As we wrap up today's episode, that's it. It feels a little weird. No Ricky, bye Ricky, have a great day. Nothing like that. Exiting take, because we do this with Ricky. Bye James Wood. I'll say that in his honor. Bye James Wood. He picked up a nice James Wood out of 100 cracked dice Bowman Chrome first auto. Was it out of 100? I think it was. My going away take is enjoy the hobby. Really. I mean, show season is upon us with the winter, November, December, January, February. Playoffs are obviously going to be on the horizon soon, but enjoy the hobby, sports cards or Pokemon cards, for it being the hobby, and enjoy the little things of that hobby. And I think you'll have a fantastic time in the space. So that will do it again, guys. I and Ricky will catch you for the next episode. But between now and then, you guys know that I love you, and I will always, always see you.